Welcome to episode 337 of Pub Theology Live, a weekly conversation on life and faith over a craft brewed pint of fine wine, or, whatever happens to be into your glass. Might be an alcohol-free show, spoiler alert. On today's episode, the Reverends Ogun Holder and yours truly, Brian Burkoff, will address and engage what's happening through a theological lens with a good brew in hand.
And that good brew might be in one of the five Pub Theology Life pint glasses we have left. So we got five glasses, and you basically got till the end of, what is it, April?
May,
To
end of May.
end of May to get it. Because Shannon is moving and she's not taking them with her cross country. And you can get one of those glasses by becoming a supporter on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/ptlive. For a few bucks a month, you get access to pre and post show banter, so lots of extra fun conversations. And as a thank you, we will send you a pint glass. We'll take care of the shipping and everything. So act quickly while supplies and Shannon's patience lasts. Patreon.com/ptlive. As always, thank you to our current patrons. And Shannon is not with us today, and we wish her well in whatever it is she's doing. She's like, her work schedule is
She's
just off the
working or
chain.
something.
She's working or something. But today we will be discussing temptation from God, Christian versus Christ-like, and Palm Sunday. That's right, Palm Sunday's this week. We're here already.
It is. Here it is.
That snuck up. All right. So as Brian alluded to, it might be an alcohol-free show, and if you want to know why I am not drinking today, it is a great pre-show conversation.
Yes. Yes. It's worth becoming a Patreon subscriber just to hear of Ogun's weekend
Yeah,
adventures.
yeah, it's a thing. What are you drinking that's non-alcoholic?
So I'm drinking a strawberry peach sparkling water, otherwise known as a LaCroix.
Oh, that nastiness.
You don't like these?
I have yet to
Oh,
find a LaCroix that I like.
oh, I like most of them.
Yes. I can't handle it.
And what do you got?
So I am in Brooklyn. I am stateside. I am in Brooklyn, specifically Crown Heights, which those of you who know the area, it is mostly known historically as an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, but ton of Caribbean people live here as well. In fact, it's also parts of it known as Little Caribbean. Um, and I'm staying with family, and there's a lot of Barbadian cooking and beverages happening in the house,
I love it.
which is good. So it's a little taste of home without having to go all the way home.
Sweet.
So I'm drinking my favorite Barbados beverage, which you usually only hear me drinking when I am in Barbados. It's Mauby, that deliciously bittersweet made from the tree bark beverage, which for American palates, you either love it or hate it, and
Right.
most Americans have given it to hate it.
Okay.
But it is a staple of Barbados Caribbean beverages, and yeah, I'm in a Caribbean household now. And saying in the pre-show, one of the things that I always do when I come back stateside is I got to eat all of my favorite foods that I don't get when I'm in Lisbon. So today, knocked out some Popeyes,
Nice.
went to Chipotle, but it's fun to walk through this neighborhood, and there's all these like pop-up stalls and food trucks selling Caribbean food. So like jerk chicken, fried plantain, pizza rice. Like it's it's like home without going home.
I love it.
Yeah. Now it's 4 degrees Celsius out, so that's like butt ass
I was gonna
cold.
say you're missing the warmth in the beach.
I'm missing the warmth. It is so cold, man. Between Barbados and Lisbon, which are the two last places I've been, and like last summer I was in DC. So it's like I haven't experienced this level cold in a very very long time, and I'm just in shock.
Yeah, I was, as I messaged you earlier, I went to Lansing. We had a organized clergy day of solidarity and a press conference around ICE actions in the state and encouraging certain bills to be passed. But we're standing outside on the steps of the Capitol, and it's like
Oof.
33 degrees
Oof.
Fahrenheit, which is, I don't know, like 2 degrees Celsius or
Yeah.
whatever. It was cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it's bizarre because the weekend before I got here, it was in the 80s. I think because
Right. There was a heat wave.
there was a heat wave, and it's supposed to warm up again towards the end of the week. It's supposed to hit, I think, like the 60s,
There you
and
go.
then next week it's gonna get cold again. So it's in that yo-yo
It
period,
really is.
and it's a whole thing. Now the plus side is I'm staying at my great aunt's house. She's in her 80s, and she likes it warm in the house. So the house is nice and toasty, which
Sweet.
is good. So, like in Lisbon, most of the houses, homes, apartment buildings do not have any central air, don't have heat, don't have
That's
anything,
right.
right? Because it never gets crazy cold, but it gets cold enough to be uncomfortable. And space heaters run up your electric bill, so we just bundle up a lot. But it's
Oh,
still
it's nice to
cold.
be toasty.
It is nice to be toasty. Yes.
I love it.
So
I love
there's
it.
there is that.
All right. So we're not having beer or other today, but do you have a favorite beverage? Could be a beer or a soda or something else that has a variant of its original flavor and you really love the variant. You know what I mean?
No. What do you mean the variant of the original flavor?
Like a Mountain Dew used to just be Mountain Dew. Now there's like Mountain Dew Code
Oh,
Red or
gotcha.
or there might be a beer that was always just one flavor, but now it's like now it's a hazy or now it's a mango
Gotcha.
or whatever.
All right. Well, I generally don't drink sodas anymore because
Right.
of the sugar and the whatever bizarre chemicals they put in there. But if I hit up a place like a Five Guys, which I gotta hit while I'm here, like they have the Coke machines where you can do your flavors,
Yes.
right? So it is for me, if I go in the place like that, it's cherry vanilla Coke.
There you go.
That is like you can feel the sugar seeping out of your pores
Yes.
after like 3 sips of that thing, man.
So not healthy, but tastes
No,
amazing.
no, no. That is like the one soda allowance I will give myself. And fortunately, um they don't put it in cans anymore. I don't think they make the cherry. I don't see the cherry vanilla Coke in like cans in stores. Or
Yeah,
if
it
I
seems like
do,
it comes out every once in a while or
yeah.
something.
Or if I do, it's like the sugar-free version, and it tastes weird.
Right.
Like, so yes. So I save it for when there's the Coke machines. There's a name for those machines that
I know
escapes
what you
me
mean.
right
Yeah,
now.
the Soda Streams or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the Soda Stream is the one you make at home, but
Oh,
there's a
I don't
special
know what it's
name for
called.
those make your own flavor Coke machines. When I see one of those, man, yeah, cherry vanilla Coke.
There you go. I
That's the
love that.
thing. What were you?
Great question.
You're probably drinking it today. That nasty
Yeah,
Lacroix.
it's the strawberry peach LaCroix. Uh no, there's there's an all day IP so Founders Brewing in Michigan makes all day IPA. It's like a lower ABV hoppy beer. And
Hmm.
there's a variant on that that I really love, and I can't remember what the flavor is. I think is it mango? It might be mango, and it's really
Okay,
good.
we'll take your word.
It just or no, it's the hazy. It's normally it's just the regular that there's the hazy all day that is chef's kiss, perfect. And because it's like 4%, 4.5%, you can enjoy a few
Okay.
earlier in the day, and it's not a big deal. So that's probably it for me. For soda, I tend to like Dr. Pepper, and they do have like a cream soda version, but it's
Hmm.
just sort of okay.
Just sort of.
Yeah.
Just sort of
Now,
okay.
do you add anything to the Mauby? Like, yeah, I
Oh
see you
no.
have ice, but you don't add sugar or anything like that.
Well, so it's made. It's already a pre-sweetened concentrate.
Okay.
So you have to dilute it.
Right. Okay.
So you can dilute it to your taste of bitterness and sweet. Because if the word bittersweet were a drink, this would be it.
That's it.
That this is it.
See, I need to try one. I'm super intrigued by that.
Yes. Yes. Bitter and
Now,
sweet all at the same time. Delicious.
where could I find one near me?
Um ooh. you would have to go. You'd probably have to go to Detroit proper
I'd
and
probably, yeah,
hope
I'd have to find a place where there's going
and
to be some population
some
of
Caribbean folk
some islanders. Okay.
and hope that they have it there. But I mean, if you're really desperate to try it, I'm sure you can order it online somewhere and have it
Oh
delivered.
yeah, I bet you're right. I bet you're right. I'll have to and that's Mawby, or how do I say it?
Mauby,
No W.
Mauby.
U. Cool. All right, so I came across this text that I thought was interesting to discuss. This is in James, chapter 1, verse 13 in the New Testament, which says, "When tempted, no one should say, 'God is tempting me.' For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does God tempt anyone." But I kind of forgot this was in there because I feel like I'm pretty sure I've said, "God, don't tempt me."
So, what is the difference between saying God tempted me versus, there's that verse that says, "Put the Lord God to the test." Well, I guess
Do
if
not
you
put the Lord your God to the
do not,
test.
do not. But I guess in that case, you're initiating the the situation
The
versus
testing, and
the
then the other
testing
God is.
versus God is. But yeah, no, I don't say God is tempting me. So again, I'm of the tradition and the belief that God is not a humanoid, a human anthropomorphic being. So
Sure.
God's not doing anything. But in the days when I did believe that, it wasn't God tempting; it was the devil. The devil was the one tempting us to stray from God's will, to disobey God, to be unfaithful. But as we learned from Job, the devil doesn't tempt without God given permission for the
Right.
devil to tempt. So
Right.
by extension then
Yeah.
it's fair to say that God's still setting the whole thing up,
Right.
right?
Right. Like it, and so could there be a situation in which either your former self or you would might be tempted to say that God is
Hmm.
tempting me, you know?
No,
Like
no.
like like what would that, I'm trying to think of what scenario would one be in? Like maybe you're being offered something that seems too good to be true and there's no downside, so it's not from, you wouldn't think that's a temptation from Satan. It might be, God, are you testing me to see if I can handle whatever this good thing is and
I have no, I
not
don't know.
screw it up?
No. Usually, if anything I'd say now is, God's laughing, or the universe has got a sense of humor.
Or
I'll
you,
say
right, or
that,
you could sub in
you
universe, like
know,
universe, don't tempt me.
right. But no, any temptation is of my own doing. you
Fair.
know, but putting myself in situations where or I used to have this the saying, "Don't walk down the chip aisle." So like for me,
Right.
I knew back in the day when I was trying to lose weight or whatever, that potato chips was my Achilles heel, and I couldn't walk down the aisle with the potato chips and not grab a bag. Like I
Right.
didn't have that kind of willpower, but I had enough to skip the aisle. So so I use that as a metaphor for like don't put yourself in situations that you know will test you, because especially if it's a situation you don't want to fail at, because sometimes you will fail and sometimes you will succeed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I would say for my spouse, it's if I buy something like there's a certain um like chocolate peanut butter treat that I like, but she'll be like, "Don't buy those because I don't want to eat them, but I will eat them."
But you know what, everything in moderation, even moderation. We have willpower. We can say no
That's
to
why I say,
things.
just I want to have them, just don't get it, just don't eat it if you
Right.
don't want to
Yeah.
have it.
Don't. I shouldn't be punished for your lack of
Correct.
willpower.
But see where for me it will be if I'm trying to, let's say I'm doing dry January or
Hmm.
just trying to take a break from alcohol. If there's alcohol in the house, it's harder for me
Sure.
to stay true to it. It's just easier if it's not in the house. So
Yeah.
I can certainly empathize. It's just for
Yeah.
me, it's not sweets. It might be more like, well, I really want to have that beer, even though I'm taking a break from beer.
But let's not blame God. And
But let's
also,
not blame God.
let's not blame God. Show title. Let's not blame God. but also convert. The flip side of that is let's not blame the devil either. Like there's no.
Right.
I feel like there's in more traditional thinking of good versus evil personified by God versus the devil. I think in both scenarios we are relinquishing our own power to choose
Yes.
by, you know, God tempted me or the devil tempted me or God's testing me to see if I can remain faithful or whatever. No, you doing that.
Yeah, you're letting go of you're making an excuse, letting go of your own agency, whatever
Yeah,
it might be.
exactly.
I think that's a good
Exactly.
way to put it. This
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of the verse that says the only unforgivable sin is the sin against the Holy Spirit, where it's just like, what does that even mean? Like, what?
Yeah. Considering from last week's episode, did we ever figure out what the Holy Spirit really is? Right?
Fair,
You know, how do
fair.
you sin against this thing that's part of a Trinity that we really quite don't understand yet? How does one sin against the Holy Spirit?
I know.
And is sinning against the Holy Spirit sinning against God? And then just say sin against God? I don't know. It's
Right,
very convoluted.
right. Well, they didn't have the Trinitarian doctrine as fleshed out back in those days.
I don't think they have it fleshed out now.
Fair. See last week's
Just
show as example.
see last week's show. But this is one of the things when I was a teenager growing up that I never understood. Why why would it didn't seem fair that God would say, here's what you need to do to be in my favor. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna test you. Like, why set us up? It felt manipulative. It felt yeah, like God is unconditional love, but somehow I still gotta prove my fidelity.
Well, and it's kind of like you reference it. It's like that text where Jesus is led into the wilderness to be tempted. It says he's led by the Spirit into the
Yeah.
wilderness to be tempted by the devil.
Yes.
So it's almost like that Job situation all
Yeah.
over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which it's like it's not a good look, God. What
That's another good show title. That's not a
we
good look, God.
we might have used that one before. I think it's yeah. Like this is the part that never made sense to me. I never understood why that would happen. And then if we fail, right, and then the theological follow that theological thread. If we fail, then God would punish us. So basically, God's saying, I'm going to set up this scenario that it's quite possible you might fail, and then I'll punish you for it. And depending on what it is, that punishment might be eternal damnation.
Well, and that's the whole premise of the view of the fall, right? With Adam and Eve in
Right.
the garden. You can eat off any of these trees, but not
Exactly.
this one.
But not this one. Well, if you didn't want him to eat out of it, why'd you put it there in the first place? Like
Exactly.
why are you what is the point of the testing? So for me, that sounds like a fragile ego. Like I don't truly believe
Ooh.
that you love me, so therefore you're gonna have to keep proving it over and over again for
Wow.
me to believe that you love me, right? And there are people who are in relationships with people like this, you know,
Yes.
very unhealthy relationships. They
And we
have to
would call
keep
that
proving that
unhealthy, but then when we make it
would.
theological and put it on God, we're like, oh, that's just how it is.
That's just how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. So yes, so you might have to break up with God. You heard it here first. You might have to, if
Wow.
you're in an unhealthy relationship with God, either break up with God, change the nature of the relationship with God, because that's not healthy. That's
Right.
psychologically stressful that you keep
Yes.
having to prove yourself over and over and over again. Yeah, nobody want to live like that.
Nobody wants to live like that. Absolutely. All right. I have a quote here from Zach Lambert. I believe he's a pastor who wrote, I wish Christians in America would worry a lot less about our nation being Christian and a lot more about our actions being Christ-like. What is the difference here, and how might things look if this happened? Because
I think,
a lot of folks want America to be Christian, but ironically, well,
well, what's ironic is that these are the same people who are like, we've got to honor the founding fathers, and the founding fathers never set up this nation to be Christian. In fact, they intentionally set it up not to be,
right,
right? Because they're fleeing persecution. They want freedom of worship. They intentionally set it up that they will not be a state religion for
right,
that purpose. So I love it. I love pointing that out. People are like, this should be a Christian nation, as our forefathers intended it. I'm like, no, they did not intend that. It was never, it's never the point. Um, and I don't know how it would look because I don't have a framework. It's never been this way. It's never looked this way. It's there's this saying about like the technological singularity, which is, at the time when, you know, computers become fully sentient. Um, you know, some people call that now like what generative AI, but fully sentient. Then we in this time before it cannot predict how it would look like. We just don't have the framework of reference to know what it would look like. And we see a lot of folks like, the CEOs of some of these AI companies making their best guess about what it might look like. We wouldn't have to work anymore. We won't have to do this, or this will happen and that'll happen. We have no clue. We're just making best guess.
right.
I feel like this situation here, if all our actions in this nation or this world were Christ-like, like I can't fathom what that would look like.
Mm,
I'm picturing like a Star Trek utopia where no one has to struggle for anything. We all truly take care of each other's needs. There's no hunger. There's like,
yeah.
you know, yeah.
We're all turning each other's cheeks like, no, no, you hit me, and then and then hit me again.
Well, there wouldn't be any hidden in the first
There
place,
wouldn't be any hitting, right?
right?
We're the
So
ones that cheeks turned.
yeah. We wouldn't have to turn cheeks because we wouldn't be hit in the first place.
But
Yeah,
isn't it like what's so when people say I want our nation to be more Christian, what they tend to mean is I want people who believe like I do to be in positions of power and to minimize the presence of other expressions of faith, be they Christian or certainly non-Christian faiths, right?
yeah.
They want to just narrow it to this tight definition of Christian, which ironically tends to look very little like Christ.
Indeed it does. And it's one of the things that we're alluding to but haven't said out loud yet is the culture. We're not talking just about the religion and the belief, the actual
Hmm.
culture. And so I I think the closest comparisons I can make, and I'm not equating these two things, so let me say that up front. Remember Handmaid's Tale?
Jeez.
That right? Those were a bunch of people who were living what they believed was a Christian or very Bible based society, culture
Under his eye.
under his eye, right? And I'm here in Crown Heights, which is again a traditionally Orthodox Jewish
Right.
neighborhood,
Yeah.
right? So I'm walking down the street and I'm seeing Jewish folks, traditionally, dressed very in what they wear. You got the men with the long ringlets of sideburny hairs
Yep.
and the thing and all the things.
The caftans and the
Yes,
hats
all the
and
things. The words are escaping me. All the things. So for them, their society, their culture is very Orthodox Jewish. Like we cracked open the Torah and it said, follow these the rules of how we live. Boom, we're doing it.
right.
Sort of deal. Um, but to your point again, when people say they want our nation to be Christian, right? There's a very prescribed set of ideas which often mean based in a very like cisgender hetero patriarchal setup,
Yeah.
right? is marriage is between a man and a woman. No one's gay. We're all following a strict monogamous blueprint. There's no abortion.
There's
There
no
like
Puerto Rican halftime shows.
exactly, exactly, right? So I think when they say that, what they're referring to is very restrictive cultural norms
Yeah.
that they have associated with Christianity, and they really aren't
And they really aren't at all.
at all,
Like at all.
at all, at all.
Oh,
Yeah,
one of those things that's just infinitely frustrating.
yes, but back to the Christ-like part, then yes, if we are, I mean, again, Jesus boiled it down to what? To two things: love God with your whole heart and soul, and love your neighbors, you love yourself.
Boom.
I preached on Good Samaritan this past Sunday,
Yeah.
and then but the tagline with that is, okay, well, how do we love ourselves?
Mm.
Because if I don't love myself well, then yeah, I'm not going to love my neighbor well.
Yeah.
So there's that. If I'm living in a place of like fear, anxiety, and lack consciousness all the time, then yes, that's how I'm gonna treat my neighbor. And we kind of see that. We're in a time now where it's like our nation is in invading countries for oil, and we
Protecting
thought
pedophiles, but
things like that. They thought they had the blueprint with Venezuela. In and out, 4 days, we're done.
yes,
Now Iran's not working out so well.
it's not working out. But we're in very serious high level talks with the Iranian leadership. So don't worry. Even though they
I was
haven't
like, do
been
they know about
contacted,
it?
they don't know about it.
they don't. They don't know about it. But yeah. But again, and we I think we touched on this last week when we talked about a certain circle who believe that this is part of ushering in Armageddon. This is part of ushering in the end times
Oh
to
gosh.
have this war in the Middle East.
Right.
And again, yeah, that's not how any of this works.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
And yeah,
So
anyways,
know the difference, Christ-like versus Christian people. But
yeah.
if you're listening to this show, you already get it. But all right, on Twitter, Tom London wrote, the Nazis thought that Aryans/Germans were superior to all other races. They were called Übermenschen, like the superhuman.
Mhm.
Americans, of course, US Americans believe they are exceptional. The Israelis think they are chosen. It's language coming from the Hebrew scriptures. And then he ends it. He gives these three examples and then says, these beliefs are highly dangerous. Do you agree? And are all of these fair comparisons?
Um, yes. And what's sadly ironic is that the the relationship between the Nazis and the Jews, right? So the Jews, and I would say who are the Israelis now, the Zionists especially,
Yeah.
there's this thought of they've basically almost become the Nazis themselves, especially in their relationship with the Palestinians and now what they're doing to Iran. And again, this is not in any way advocating for the decency of the Iranian high command, right?
Right.
But the idea that the people who were once oppressed, again, not that long ago, we're not even 100 years out from the Third Reich
Right.
and World War II, have now become the oppressors. And I'm painting with a broad brush. I'm not speaking to everyone,
No, and
all
I'm
of
glad
them.
you specified Zionists because there
Yes,
are a number of Jews, many Jews, who are totally opposed to what's happening in the
yes,
land of Israel with
yes,
Palestinian people.
yes. Exactly, exactly. So the fact that they've become that and are doing it with no sense of irony, like
No, even though their own Torah says, don't become this because you were that.
because you were that. Yes.
in
No,
Egypt, like
no sense of irony at all. Um, and and at the same time, so this is what I'm about to say is not a what's the word I want a validation of their actions, but it's almost understandable from a perspective of we are people who historically going all the way back to you know our earliest beginnings as a nation as a people to very recently with the Nazis. We are people who've always been displaced from our land. We are people who've always been persecuted, and we want to make sure that never happens again, even if we got to kill everyone around us to make sure that that never happens again. So I can almost understand the mindset. I mean, get some therapy, but I can almost understand where that's coming from. I don't agree
yes,
with it. Me describing it is not agreeing with it,
understood.
right? But that's not the way to go either, because then you become, again, you, the oppressed, have now become the oppressor. And you saw how that ended for the oppressors that
Right.
tried to oppress you,
Correct. Not good.
right? It didn't end well for them. Why do you think your path is going to be different? And I guess they do because they've aligned with, arguably the world's greatest superpower, who's also being led by someone hell bent on, I don't know, vainglory.
Yeah. Who knows? So, what about the American exceptionalism piece and why, like, as someone who did grow up in the States as a first generation American, this was definitely drilled into us in school, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
glories of this country and its history and its founding and blah blah blah. And it's often been a big piece of US foreign policy, American
Yeah.
exceptionalism. Like, let's talk about that. Why that might also need to be included as dangerous.
Well, it's not true, for one.
Well, yeah, let's start with that. Let's start with that, right?
But if you believe that, then you are automatically justifying all your actions,
Yep.
and you can do no wrong,
Yep.
and you're better than everyone else. So there's the exceptionalism. There's a difference between uniqueness and exceptionalism, right? So America is a unique country, not in many ways. So when we look at from its founding as the democracy that it is, granted that founding was based on domination. These folks rolled in, um, Europeans rolled in, they basically, you know, wiped out the Native Americans who were here for eons, and but the idea of we're gonna set up this new democracy based not on authoritarianism, not based on your birthright entitles you to privilege. We're gonna set up a nation that, in theory, in theory, especially at the time, basically in theory, if you were a white man, in theory, we start now from a level playing field. That's honestly not how it is. It's never really been that way, but
Right.
that was the idea, right?
Right.
And yes, people came from all over the world, and there are countless success stories of people who came from countries where they were an oppressed class,
Right.
and were able to make a good life for themselves and their children here in the States because this is the way the States was set up. And in many, for the most part, again, painted with a broad brush, you can still do that. I mean, maybe until recently. Um, but, but
It's
this was,
50-50, or you may
yeah,
get hauled out of your home
right.
at midnight,
But,
or middle of
but,
the day.
but it's no longer unique. You can go to many other countries and do that now,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm living proof of that. I'm
N-
trying to make that happen in Portugal.
No one has a monopoly on that idea.
On that idea anymore. So even if we say, oh, other places copied that American blueprint, well, so be it. But now they've copied it and they're doing it much better. Um, but that exceptionalism is, it's not that slippery a slope. Is almost the same level to the idea of superiority,
Oh, for sure. And
right?
I think what you said is correctly so, is that you can do no wrong, and also you refuse to look square in the face at your own history and the huge shortcomings and or crimes against humanity
Yes.
that are a part and parcel of the founding of and the building of the nation.
Yes.
And we see that
Exactly.
happening right now, right? Where they're wanting to take down monuments, scrub history books,
Yeah.
scrub websites left and right because they're under this exceptionalism mindset and can't. It's like you're a small person, it seems to me, when you can't acknowledge
Yeah. Fragile
mistakes
egos. Very,
and
very, very
fragile
fragile egos.
egos.
Um, and and that's when it becomes dangerous, as you were saying. Then, with you want to erase history, you want to invisibilize people,
Yep.
you want to strip rights, human rights,
Yep.
and that that then turns you into the, again, the very people who you sought to escape. So when you think about it,
Yes.
you know, the Europeans who came here to escape persecution are now becoming the persecutors.
Yep.
And you know, the thing that's always worth mentioning is we tend to say a country is X based on the leadership at the time, right?
Hmm.
So like when Obama was president, America was no longer racist because we had a black president, right? Now that Trump's president, it's a racist country. Well, it never stopped being a racist country, regardless of who was president, right? It's woven into
Correct.
the fabric of the U.S. Because to your point, we the country never officially en masse dealt with that big sin of slavery,
Yep.
right? I don't even know that they really dealt with the sin of the genocide of the Native American people,
I certainly have not.
right? And then we're gonna just, you know, enslave and import a bunch of other people as well.
Oh,
So,
no.
and even then, when that's over, we will still marginalize them. So,
Yep.
so when you now you're allying yourself with another country who is doing the same thing to another group of people, and that's, as we see, that's the danger. Not just the danger to the people you're oppressing, but now you're filled with this sense of entitlement to go and create havoc in other parts of the world.
Yeah. See current news headlines.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And again, not that the Iranian regime is innocent in any way, shape, or form.
No.
However,
Or the
it,
Venezuelan, but
it matters how you do a thing.
it does. And
You
matters
know,
having a plan and
it
allies and
matters.
buy-in from your country and your
It
elected leaders.
it matters that you look at your foreign policy history in the last, I don't know, 80 years, going like, when has this ever worked well? Let's just keep doing it. If we keep doing it, it'll work one day.
Yeah,
Let's just
exactly.
let's just keep doing it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
I was reading somewhere that like they're desperately hoping the Iranian people will basically rise up and take over, you know, the
Right.
regime. And that doesn't really seem to be happening. So now they're like, okay, we will there's talk of arming them. So giving the Iranian people arms to fight
We've
against
seen that
the,
work well also.
again, when has that ever worked well? I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh,
And we tend to like look at the Nazis as like peak doing humanity bad, right? Peak evil. And we've talked about on this show, and I'm sure many of our listeners know that the Nazis themselves studied US racial practices for how to do them better themselves. Like,
exactly,
what?
exactly. And part of what I think, what to your point when we say Nazis pinnacle of evil was because they did what they did to scale, right? They scaled up,
Yeah.
And we're like, we're not just going to do this in Germany.
It was that
We're
German engineering at work.
right. We gonna take it. We gonna take it to the whole of Europe, right? We're gonna scale up. We're
Yeah.
gonna expand all the things. So, and we like to think that the U.S. doesn't do that, so we're not as bad. It's just that we just did it in secret a lot of times, right? And
Yeah.
we did regime changes. We have exported Americanism all over the place. We just did it in a more palatable way until recently. Now it's just all in the open. So
Yeah.
they
It
don't care.
totally.
They don't
But I love what
care.
you said about step one on American exceptionalism is it ain't true.
It ain't
Let's just
true.
start there.
It's not true. The American dream is often a gaslight and a nightmare,
Yeah.
because again, that pathway of, you know, opportunity is available to everyone, technically true, but there's different obstacles on the path of
That's right.
opportunity depending on your race, your ethnicity, your gender, your orientation, your class, many different obstacles. And you can always point to the success stories of people who have jumped over those obstacles to reach success. But those are such a small number compared to those who are trying to make it.
Yeah. And it's not that this country doesn't have good things to offer. It does.
Yeah,
And I've been blessed by it. But so do all the other countries in the world have really good things to offer. And like
exactly.
every human society is a mixed bag. That's just
Yeah.
real.
Yes. Exactly. 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 So we are so like, excuse me, the when you look at like healthcare, for example, between all the other countries in the world that have I want to say not socialized medicine. What's the term I'm trying to use here? Free healthcare, basically.
Nationalized medicine.
Nationalized medicine, yes,
Yeah.
nationalized medicine. See the propaganda's the propaganda's in my head.
Yes.
They have a nationalized health service, and I look at England, for example, and I've been reading essays by the author Zadie Smith not too long ago, and she had this story when she was doing a book tour when she did her first novel. So if you're not aware of the author Zadie Smith, when she was 24, 25, she wrote a novel called White Teeth, and it became a global sensation. First novel out the gate,
Wow.
absolute global sensation, best winner, winning prizes left, right, center, catapulted her to fame. And
Amazing.
she's doing all these, tours around the world. She's in the US, right? And she's talking about how she was born into a relatively poor family. And then somebody asked her, but wait, I don't understand. If you were born into a relatively poor family, how is it that you like went to university and all of this stuff happened? She goes, what do you mean? Like it was free where he came from? And the person in the US was like, what do you mean it was free? So there's this whole thing about like when she was a child, and again, she's my age now, right? We're the same age about, and when she was a child, the National Health Service was in top form, free education all over the place.
Yep.
But now the National Health Service is a shell of what it was
Mm,
before, right? Thank you, Margaret Thatcher, for that.
right.
Not only her, but so because of the greed of the need to privatize, of the need to make money, of all of these things, now the place is a mess. And then the Brexit thing rolled in, where it's like, you know, underneath it all, we just gonna be some old white racist fucks who don't want brown folk here. So we leave the European Union, all the things, and
Yuck.
now, yeah, and now we are this many years out of Brexit, and we are showing all the results are showing that, and the research is showing that the country's doing much poorer than it would have been if they hadn't left the European Union in almost every metric.
Amazing.
So it didn't work. It didn't work. but there was still that idea. That's another country that, for most part, was diluted by its exceptionalism,
Yep. Yeah,
and
exactly. We don't need to be cooperative. We're going to be in this union. We can just be us.
we can just be us, right? And it's a hot mess.
Mm,
And I think that's, again, looking at the Israelis, the Zionist movement, is that they're trying to, again, isolate themselves. We are the way it's supposed to be, because you know we believe this scripture that was written thousands and thousands of years ago that said we were the chosen people. Everybody believes they're God chosen. Like,
Turns
what?
out everyone believes that.
Turns out everyone believes that. Everyone believes they're God chosen. That's like a prerequisite for belief.
God, don't tempt me.
Don't tempt me. Choose me, but don't tempt me.
Right. Oh, man.
Aye.
Wow. All right, we're going to close with Palm Sunday, which is this coming Sunday, and it commemorates the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem. And famously, palm branches, coats, things are laid on the ground. He's riding the donkey or the donkey on a colt, depending on which text you read. But it marks the beginning of Holy Week, the final week of Lent, and of course the lead up to Good Friday, the crucifixion, and Easter Sunday. Was Jesus asking for attention or trouble, do you think, by this? If we were to go all the way back, was he asking for attention or trouble by this entry, or were people doing things beyond his control and he just let it happen?
He was asking for both attention and trouble.
There you go.
Both. And this didn't listen. This didn't just happen. Like, you don't in it's Passover, right?
Right.
You have thousands and thousands of people coming from all over to celebrate. You don't A parade doesn't spontaneously happen. You have to
This was
organize.
choreographed.
This was choreographed,
I gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just not going to show up, you know.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens, right? No, he sent, I mean, it's in the scripture. He sent them ahead.
He
He
did.
said, go and you're going to find a dude with the donkey, whatever. So I'm pretty sure if you read between the lines, they're like, we're coming to get the donkey. Okay. He's going to ride in,
Yeah.
get some people.
Here's the route. Be there.
Here's the route. Be there. Get some people.
Yeah.
Let's
Show up.
let's make this a show, sort of deal. So, and one of the teachings, understandings, was this was happening the same day when Pontius Pilate or was entering as well, with all the Roman pomp and circumstance and all the Roman infantry and cavalry,
Right.
to remind them, we are in charge. Like, come have your festivals and your holy time, but ultimately we're in charge. Don't stir up trouble, and to intimidate you into not stirring up trouble, we will have this show of force happening as well.
Right.
Right. So Jesus could have rolled in on any other day. Jesus could have walked in by himself or
Yeah.
just with the 12, blended in with the crowd, found the smallest point of entry, and just could
And
have
then we'll
been there.
just do our little Passover thing and get out of here.
Exactly. Exactly. But no. And if you read the passages before, you'll see repeated references to him telling the disciples, this is what's going to happen when I get there. They're going to kill me, right? And yeah, in hindsight, we, I believe there was a lot of, saving Jesus from himself. So in hindsight, this has all been predetermined, scripted by God. And, it's, and at the same time, we also can believe that he was very clear that, given what he was doing and what he was saying, and the way he was threatening the Jewish authorities at the time, who by extension afraid of what that might do to the Roman domination of them,
Yep.
going like, all right, we gotta nip this in the bud before this
Yeah.
gets out of hand.
Yeah,
'Cause
otherwise
he's,
Rome's going to come down hard on us, and then we're all going to
exactly,
suffer.
exactly. So it's either gonna be him or us. We choose us, and you know, And now he's making it worse by having a parade.
Right. Right. He's bringing it to a head. Like
Yeah, you know.
maybe we could have put up with him for a little while longer if he'd have kept his head down,
Yes.
minded his own business, don't
Yeah.
mock the Romans.
Exactly. Exactly. And, the skeptic that I am as I read the Bible now, there's that like, okay, how much did this happen? One,
Sure.
when we said there was a parade with branches and all that, are we talking like they might have been like just the family of the donkey owner, like
Yeah,
maybe
right.
like
It's a
a
couple
dozen,
friends of the
yeah,
disciples
couple friends, yeah, so maybe there were maybe like 20, 25 people at the gate, waving,
versus
or
hundreds.
versus hundreds, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been led to believe that there were a lot of people.
Yeah, we picture the sea of humanity
Exactly,
saying
exactly,
Hosanna, Hosanna, all
exactly.
waving the branches.
Yeah. And it might have been 20 people. I don't know. We weren't there. So,
It
so
is a fair point because, stories grow, as we know, over time, and these things weren't written down for decades.
exactly, exactly. Remember a few episodes back, us debating if he actually walked on water or not, and the whole thing
Wow.
with they didn't swim,
Could
and
they even
you know, that was the whole that was the whole thing.
classic?
Um, but regardless, like these were a chain of events that you can say maybe began on this day with his entry that led to his death. And to go back to that question about, God tempting us or not, it's the why why set this up for your supposed son, right?
Hmm.
Um, I made reference, I think it was last week, to that Mr. Deity skit.
Yeah.
I forgot to post the link on Facebook. I have to do that.
Yes.
But there was there's a point in the skit where Jesus looks at God and says, "Wait a minute, you're sacrificing me in the name of you, even though you like are developing this model of humanity that really says there is no sin and damnation. So I don't understand what's the point of all of this, right?" And God's like, wait, don't steal my thunder. I am in the person of you, remember? So I'm really sacrificing myself.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, yeah, but you're not the one hanging on the
You're not
cross
the one.
getting
That's right.
getting whipped and thorns on your head and all sorts of crap.
No doubt.
So it's, but this is like, other than the resurrection, the crucifixion, I guess, ranks second as the most important event
Yeah.
in the story of Christianity. Like this week, this is like the holiest of holy weeks. This is the whole pivotal story. If
No
this
doubt.
story doesn't exist, the whole thing falls apart.
This is the center for sure.
Right? So it's important that this narrative is believed.
Right.
So I mean, often the bigger question I have is like, can you call yourself a Christian if you don't believe this story, this
Mm.
narrative, or are you just being Christ-like?
Hey, I see
Call
what you
back,
did there. See what you
right?
did there. That was good.
Exactly.
That was good.
Because I no longer believe this story literally happened,
Sure.
and I believe in the power of the story as a metaphor and a metaphysical device. I mean, this Sunday, coming Sunday, between Palm Sunday and then Easter Sunday, I'll be preaching on this,
Yeah.
and I'll be preaching both the metaphorical and the metaphysical interpretation of it, and not saying to people you have to literally believe that this happened, but they're
Right.
people who do. It's fundamental to their belief system about themselves,
Correct.
the nature of the universe, everything.
Yep.
And sometimes it makes me, I'm connecting all these questions back to that American exceptionalism, right? The power of story, to anchor our beliefs. And then when you take the story away, your beliefs, your identity, your sense of self is erased. So you have to maintain the story no matter the cost.
Yeah. And I have to say, Easter is not my favorite Sunday to preach because I have so many questions and I'm not sure what I think. And it's like it's the big Sunday on the calendar other than Christmas, and it's like hooray and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but really what happened? Like it's kind of a, it's not cut and dry, it's not black and white, and there's multiple ways for people of faith to hold this, but people want the celebratory certainty.
Yes.
And when you don't come in with that, it feels like you're letting everyone down as a preacher.
Well, it depends on where you're preaching.
Maybe. Yeah, that's well, for sure.
It depends on where you're preaching. It depends on who you're preaching to, and it also depends on if you are. I believe part of our role as pastors, clergy, is to let people know it's okay to question. It's okay to
Yes,
doubt. It's
100%.
okay to sit in the uncertainty and the unknown. And ultimately, what do you want to do? Do you want to be, again, back to that question, which is a good question. Do you want to be Christian or do you want to be Christ like?
Yep.
Because even if Jesus was not nailed to a cross and Jesus did not resurrect 3 days later, when you look at the stories, even if all of those stories of the miracles and the teachings, I wouldn't say not necessarily were fabricated, but not things he actually said and did,
Sure.
right? The teachings still hold up. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's a good teaching, regardless of if
Yes.
there was a
That could have been
man.
Dr. Seuss, and
Could have been
that's really
still a good,
still
still a good teaching.
you want to do that.
Right? Exactly. Like, look at the Beatitudes. Those are good teachings,
Sure.
regardless of if there was a man named Jesus who sat on a hill and taught them,
Right.
right? Regardless of if he took, what is it, 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, or 2 bread and 5 fish, and
Something. I hope it was more bread than fish for my sake.
exactly, right? So whether that miracle feeding of 5,000 happened
Right.
literally or not, the Beatitudes are still good teachings,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
And so for me, that's more important than if the event of a death and a resurrection actually literally happened. I can believe a teaching without literally believing all the other circumstances around the teaching.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's basically what Jesus does every time he tells a parable is he tells
yeah.
stories that didn't happen historically, but that we think are powerful and that have things
Hello,
to teach us.
hello.
Bingo.
I mentioned that this past Sunday as I'm doing a Good Samaritan. I was like, by the way, we always forget this didn't actually happen. This was a story that Jesus told,
Right.
right? There wasn't
Yes.
actually a man who got beat up.
Right.
So is it possible that we could have a story within a story within a story? Absolutely.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
But does that mean the teaching of, help someone regardless of if they are like your traditional enemy or not, or someone you
Yeah.
don't like, helping someone
Yes.
matters. It's more important. So regardless of the device you use to get that message across, right? The whole death and resurrection story is one of self-sacrifice, is one of as we say in unity, reawakening to your higher self, to your higher power, to realizing that ultimately nothing can keep you from the power of your divine self. Like, that's a good message regardless of the storytelling device or whatever
Or
narrative you want to.
historicity of said
Exactly.
whatever.
Exactly. But I think what the problem is, and we see this today when we criticize the American government or we criticize the country. They're like, well, if you don't like this country, you can leave it. Right? Or if you don't like the story of who we are, you can leave it. Or you're not a patriot
Right.
if you point out the horrors that make up American history. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Two multiple things can be true at the same time.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yes, this country, like many others, but maybe it was the first to really lay down the blueprint, is is one of opportunity, and at the same time, it's one of horror and domination and oppression.
And oppression. Yep.
All the
Yep.
things can be true.
All right, I've got part B on Palm Sunday, but I'm going to hold that for the post show for
All right.
Patreon listeners because I think we're at our time here. So thank you, friends, for tuning in to Pub Theology Live. You can show your love for the show by becoming a supporter on Patreon. Get access to pre and post show banter and more. Visit patreon.com/PTLive to get started. And of course, a big thank you to our current patrons. You can watch full episodes on YouTube. Top cities tuning in this week. We're back to stateside listeners, Chicago, LA, and Miami.
That
So,
means all the that means all the travelers came home.
wow. And if you'd like to start a pub theology gathering in your town, find support and resources at pubtheology.com. And until next time, friends, drink responsibly and keep those conversations flowing.